Hello, Carrie Contey. Welcome to our third conversation in this series of podcast episodes in which we are bringing value to parents in the Sparkle Stories community. I'm so glad you're here. It's so good to see you
so
again.
Glad to be here.
Yay.
I love this time with you. Thank you.
Same. I come away so inspired. So today our topic is wonder, which I know is one of your very faves, and it's mine too. It's a value at Sparkle Stories. So can we start our conversation by defining wonder? Like, how do you describe it?
Great. So wonder to me is this sense of awe, this presence and awareness and celebration and appreciation and delight in everything from, a leaf to the universe. That's how wonderful this universe is, that there's so much to be in awe of.
And let's talk about, actually, let me say a few things. I'm going to say, oh my gosh, yes. And there was something else that was opening in me as you were talking. It's like, I'm going to use the word awakening. That's a strong word. It like wakes you up. To me, it wakes me up. It starts with a small thing usually, and then suddenly there's this great opening on waking up to what's around me, and wonder's like a portal. Like the small wonder can become the big wonder. I know I'm not.
I love that.
You following me?
That makes total sense.
Yes. As you were talking, I was like, oh yeah, it can be this leaf. And then suddenly it's this larger, wow of this incredibleness or this wonderful world that we live in. And what, if you could define the value of wonder, like why is wonder important? And I'll talk first because I'm talking about this month at Sparkle. Wonder for me is an opening to joy, like natural. It just flows. And it's an opening to like a sense of incredible possibility. It drops me into presence, right? And in that, there's just this wow, anything is possible here, right?
Yeah.
And also, I think it gives us a lot of the satisfaction that we're looking for when we're scrolling on Instagram or whatever else. Like when we're hungry for something, there's something about the experience of wonder that is so deeply soul satisfying. So those, to me, are what are valuable about it. What's your experience?
I love that word portal. Like it's a portal to a sense of fulfillment and meaningfulness and rightness. Like there's so much that we could be tuning into that feels off or sad or scary. But when we open up to the wonder of anything, the natural world for me is kind of the easiest because it's just so full, especially this time of year when things are growing and there's just verdancy and life in motion. And the idea that I can tap in or tune myself to being in the wonder of it. How does that happen? And what is that about? And what is that color all about? And my senses are being delighted. And so I love the idea of letting myself lean into wonder as a way of, finding more joy, finding more alignment, finding more creativity even.
Yes, totally. And can you describe then in a day, of a Carrie Contey day, where is that wonder practice for you? I know that once you start cultivating it, I can say from experience, it becomes a natural thing that you do throughout the day. But do you have a specific, or maybe if you're coach us a bit, if we were to build it in our day, what could it look like? And if the more practical you can make it, the better, because I want it to be an easy access point for
I love that. So one thing is really just starting with it, that when I pop my eyes open, if I can really open up to being in wonder and really I'm here, I'm alive. I made it. I'm alive. I'm here.
Totally.
And then, so it's wow, that's pretty wonderful. Yeah. And then, I might look over at my partner and be in awe of that human. And then that kind of kicks me into this state. And I'm not saying I access it every day, but when I remember to, it's there's wonder and then appreciation. And then if I can keep doing that. So it might start there, and then it might be opening the door. I realize if I get outside, even if it's just to smell the air or to feel the day, it kicks on a different quality of appreciation and awareness in me than if I wait till the afternoon. I'm doing my things and I'm busy. If I don't, but any time, and now I have some flowers growing. So every day I put on my boots and I trudge out and look at what's growing. And that is like kicking it on at a different level than I even ever knew. Like I love watching the plants grow, and I love being curious about like who's showing little signs of flowers and all of that. And so to me, it is becoming more of a natural state. And I would give most of the credit to being a really like conscious appreciator of my reality and my life.
Yes, totally. Totally. And if, say, someone goes to sort of like open their eyes to their day, and this is something I've experienced, I'm curious to see what you would say, and they find that they don't access it easily, like, or there's a lot of tension in their body or a lot of emotion, and there's like, they're bumping up against that before they feel like they can open to anything else. What would you do?
I mean, that's totally normal, especially when you're exhausted and overdone and like your energy is spent. Even when you wake up, if you're parenting little people, you could wake up very drained, and it might be hard to access that. And so, a little workaround is to just for one microsecond be in witness to like, oh, look at what's creating that exhaustion. Oh, these people, and they're growing. And oh, wow, let me just take one step back and be able to witness that my whole system is off or is cranky. Like when we can pull back and really just name it, just say out loud, like I'm feeling frustrated or I'm feeling tired or I'm overdone. Even in that sliver of awareness could be something that you're in wonder or awe or appreciation of.
Oh, nice.
Does that make sense?
Yes. So even the challenged experience, the emotion or the thoughts or whatever, you can step back and have gratitude for or be amazed by.
Yeah, I mean,
because at 30,000
experience, right? Yeah, I mean, and that won't happen all the time. That's what, you have to. You might even have a Post-it next to your bed that says like, what are you in wonder of? But I think that totally. Even like, wouldn't it be cool if we wired into our brain the awareness that even the yucky feeling states are full of wonder. Like, look at us being humans. Like that is more of it. And that's why I love the word wonder, and I love sort of the playfulness of that word. And I love the word awe, because awe sort of to me encapsulates all of it, like the sweetness and the sweet mess of being a human and being a family and being a community member and being on this planet. Like it's all of it. And so to be in the wonder of like, how the heck does this all work? It pulls you out of that moment, even if it's for a millisecond. It pulls you back far enough to go, right, I'm not supposed to know how to do this. No, I've never been this with these people in this moment before. So like how ideally, beautifully compassionate that can be. Yes.
Beautiful. And now with wonder in our children, when they start out early, that's a natural state. But how do you recommend encourage?
Yeah. I mean, I think getting outside, always a good one. Because I think that this natural world, like, I mean, how beautiful is it when when you're either walking down the street with your people or you're observing other people and you see a little one just looking down at the ground. Like we were at a basketball court the other day, and this mom and her two children were there, and this little one was down on the ground looking at clearly a bug or something happening down there. And the mom got down there, and it was like, there was just something about this moment of like, the joining that happened and the patience and the curiosity. And so like, I don't think we necessarily, I think the wonder is there. I think that's innate. I really do. I think we come in curious and really like electrified by this natural world. I think we lose it. And what young people do in our world is bring us back to it. Yes. So I think in a way, being in service to their wonder and bringing in our wonder is probably a better thing to do than try to create wonder for them.
Yes, totally. And it seems like even in the example you gave that you can allow it to be an access point for you if you notice their wonder and then engage in it, even when stuck. I think when you slow down and start to let yourself really witness a creature, right?
Yeah.
For me, it's always been my dogs. Like if I just slow down and really like take a good look at their little muzzles and their little, I mean, you just can't not be like, my gosh, this is a little mammal living in my house and look at their tenderness, whatever it is. But if you're like to get down on the ground and really commit to observing that insect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just opens
and I
things
think
up.
I was just going to say, I think another one, and this one can be tricky, but finding scenarios where you can let the little one lead, like whether you are out on a walk in a safe place and you just let them go ahead a little bit and you basically just follow their lead. Like, what direction do you want to go in? Because, part of our world is you're maneuvering them where you need them to go a lot of the time. So there's a real gift for both of you when you, especially if you're one-on-one. It's a little harder with multiple children at one time, but when you're one-on-one, if you can say, you know what, let's just, you lead, we're going to go, and you can keep them safe, obviously. But if you're at a park saying, I'm going to let you be the leader and I will go wherever you take us and I will be keeping us safe. So there might be some boundaries, but a little more of them leading and then really putting yourself in their shoes. And when they look at something, like pausing and really going there. Mm. And you might only do this for 5 minutes, but even that could both give you a new lens and also create a different quality of connection with your people, but also giving them agency and saying, where you take us matters, because I'm always the one taking us. So I'm going to let you be the leader for a little while. And then when you need to be the leader, which is most of the time, you can say, hey, in this scenario, I need to be the leader. And so, but by giving them, especially a 2 or 3 year old, that goes a long way when you can say, hey, why don't you be the leader today in this very contained and boundaried scenario?
Yes. Yeah, that's lovely. That's lovely. Another thought that's coming to me, and let me see how I would phrase this question. I'm wanting to ask you something about parents and then the wonder one can have for one's children and the benefits there. Yeah. Like cultivating wonder, like you were talking about your partner, like what good comes when you actively bring wonder to a relationship? Can we talk about that?
Sure. I'm all about the vibes. Like I'm all about, the energy. And so when I remember that, like, here's this person that I love and that I get to spend time with and who is their own human that I get to know and create reality with and have connection with, that is really, I know that opens my heart. And when my heart is more open, that's felt. Mm-hmm. And so when you do that with your children and really realize like, oh, wow, like, there's, a lot of stuff that might be swirling, but when I can pull back the scope, I mean, it's easy to do when they're sleeping. Like I'm a big fan of parents going into the kids' rooms quietly when their kids are asleep and they have that almost translucence. Yes. And like, you can even see in a teenager, that littlest tiny one, like, yes, that's an easy way to access the wonder. And then you start realizing like, wow, without me doing anything, they've grown into this incredible human. And like, it's a portal toward connection because even if that person is asleep, they're going to feel that love. They're going to feel that that sweetness coming at them. And that is never a bad thing. Like that's always valuable and always worth the investment. And if you really remember that these relationships have a bank account, like an energetic bank account. And if you want to play a game, it's like when you bring wonder to a relationship and you aren't judging and you're not doing anything but just being like, wow, look at you. You're energetically adding a lot of currency to that relationship bank account. And that really goes a very long way. And then when you mess up and you get mad and you freak out, yeah, you're taking a little bit out, but you've been putting in because every once in a while you're like, wow, you exist. Of all the humans, I get to know you and I get to love you and I get to travel with you. That's not only going to fortify you, the thinker, feeler of that, but it's going to transmit to that other human that they matter and that they're valued and that they're loved and that they're seen. And like, you can never go wrong. Even if it's once a day or once a week that you're like, right, big life, lot going on, but let me pull it back and go, we get to be together and we're muddling through. And I sure do love this person.
Yes. That's so beautiful. And as someone, for me, who like my early, I don't know, because of my early life can be operate out of fear and judgment and get bossy and a little controlling. Like that's beautifully helpful. The other thought I was having while you were talking too is I was writing today about how one of the best gifts you can give your children is just the space to be who they are. I'm working on September content and I just really want, as people are going back to school and trying to fit themselves back into sort of systems and routines, to like remember that it's like we don't need to fit in. We just need to make space for who we are, and it feels like wonder will offer that the wondering about the child puts you in a space of observation and gives them room to kind of unfold themselves, which, so it's like there's like love, delight, and acceptance all built into that wonder experience, right?
Yeah, I brilliantly said. And one of my things is like, you can judge. That's kind of over here. Yeah. You can accept, you can appreciate, and you can wonder. Like, I think wonder is its own version of like openness. And I love that idea. Like, I wonder how your second grade year is going to go. I wonder how your first year of like, who are you now? And that goes back to what I call my 4 questions, which are, and I think this, when you come from a spirit of wonder and approach your prenate, the person in the womb or the person having the tantrum or the person going off to college, it's like, who are you? Like, not just like, who are you, but who are you? Like the big being in there. What are you here for? Like, what's your life really about? What are you here to experience and know about you in this reality of your life? What do you need? What experiences do you need to explore that? And then how can I support that? How can I be of service to your unfolding? And like, to me, that's like a wonderful set of questions.
Yes. Yes, totally. Totally.
Because we don't know. I mean, we're just figuring ourselves out. Like, that's my shtick, is like clarity. Like, what is this? What is this all about? What do I need to do to find me? Who am I? What am I here for? What do I want to? So when you can be in your own questioning in your own self with
like
wonder,
for yourself.
Yeah, literally yourself.
And for the children.
Yes. And the more you are curious about yourself and the more you're open and accepting of who and what you are, the more you're going to be able to do that with your people. So
totally.
You start because you're like, well, I want to know you, but then you realize, well, I'm going to know you more deeply if I know myself.
Yes.
Oh, now I know myself. Now, really, what do I want to know? Like, what are you about? Like, it creates a little infinity of curiosity and wonder and like richness.
Yes. Yes. And again, I'm going to tell of a recent experience where I had this insight. And for me, I get these like really deep understandings that land in my body. And I really fully got that the more I stay with myself and I'm curious about myself and allow all of who I am to come forward, the less I need to control other people to behave in a certain way so that I feel okay. And I mean, I get this conceptually, right? Like you can say that, but to kind of have a whole bodied understanding of like, oh, I see what's happening now. Yeah. Look at how me doing me makes me enjoy others. And I don't have to fuss at them or try to make them, and I'm talking about this in the dating context largely, but it's like, oh my gosh, you just enjoy, and children too, just enjoy them for who they are. So,
well, because like, that's one of my little taglines is like, clarity is influential. Clarity is connected. Clarity of self is relaxing. Like there's so much when you know what you're about, even if it's a boundary situation, you're going to feel a little more steady and present when other people are interacting with you, because you're not going to be worrying, am I going to get thrown off, or am I going to not do the right thing or say the right thing? It's like, well, this is what I am. Yes. Here, I'm clear about this. I know how to get clear if I'm not. Like that. Yes. Like being in wonder of, like, I love this conversation because it's all about like being in wonder of these incredible individual people that have arrived in who you call your children. Mm-hmm. But if you use that as a route to get to know yourself more deeply, as a knowing that if you do that, the relationships are going to be richer, that like expands it all like infinitely. It's so exciting to me.
Totally. So funny. I started this conversation thinking we were going to talk about watching ladybugs, and it's like, it's like how to have a grow, how to use wonder to have such a profoundly fulfilling like life experience in relationship and otherwise. So that's cool.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, please.
I'll keep it tight.
I'm going to get us heady.
I'll keep it tight. Totally.
Yes.
But
no, we have nothing but time.
One of my favorite things to be in wonder of is this nervous system, this brain body situation that allows us to experience all of life. And so because I think, when we're tired or when we don't operate as clean or clearly as we like, or we act in ways that we don't really want to be acting, it's usually because our nervous systems are overdone, that we're we're actively just trying to manage the situation.
Yes.
And so when we get curious and we have wonder, we're in wonder of like the fact that we are here and that we are handling a lot of things at one time, not just our own selves, but other humans that are growing, that can bring a lot of compassion and space to those moments when it doesn't go as beautifully as you might hope. Does that make sense? Totally. Super important too. I always appreciate the compassion, the invitation to compassion that you bring in all conversations, because it is a lot.
The parenting journey is a lot. It's so important. Yeah.
It's so big. And I'll say like wonder adds a lot of relationship currency, but so does compassion. So like use it. Like, oh my gosh, you're having a meltdown. Like, oh, I can at least maybe access a micro of compassion for the fact that it's really hard to be a little human or a big human. So just keep that awareness that like you can't lose when you bring compassion in.
Yes, totally. Okay, my next question is going to take us into a bit of a heady realm. And those are for sort of the folks who like to come to things with their intellect. If you were to break wonder down into a variety of components, whether those are access points or just ways of thinking about wonder, and I'm going to give an example. Like, I'd love to know what you think those are. For me, one of the main pieces is curiosity, right? Okay. Like that's a starting point, and it's a fundamental aspect of wonder, right? We get curious about what's in front of us, and that can create this opening. Do you have other ways that for the intellectual person that would be a component of wonder that could either be an entry point or just a way to think about it?
I feel like sensory, using these incredible senses we have. So like our eyes. I mean, I find probably that's my closest, my like first sense that allows me to experience wonder. Like, oh, I'm seeing something and I'm stopping and really using my sense of sight to take it in and look a little deeper into it. Sound, like when I get in wonder, like in the morning when the birds start chirping. And it's like, oh, wow, that's happening. That's like filling my senses when I'm eating something. And it's like, I really pause and taste it. That feels like it's experiencing a sense of wonder. Like this is something I'm getting to take in, and I'm having this whole experience with it. So the senses, like that to me, like the wonder is the like portal into experiencing things more sensory, and the senses allow for more wonder. That's kind of like how it works for me. Curiosity, obviously, that's the big one. And then awe, like I love that word. There's a lot of research lately. There's a couple new books about it. But like to me, awe and that sense of like, wow, like this is happening. This is it. Like that feels like when you try to build the intellectual understanding of this concept, that feels like a component that like fits into it. And
100%.
then presence. I mean, you said it right away. It's like that idea that when I'm in wonder, like in the moment wonder, like a sensory wonder, I am present moment. Like I am with the experience of here and now. It's hard. I mean, it might take me back to a place or forward, but if I'm really like, oh, wow, let me be in the wonder of this, it's bringing me here.
Yes. And vice versa, I find when I do a presence practice, like drop into my body, the wonder just comes flooding in.
Yeah.
It's like,
I agree.
They go back and forth. Yeah. Awesome.
And joy. I mean, I know that wasn't, but these are the elements, like I'm thinking. And to me, awe and joy kind of create delight. So wonder is also kind of the umbrella under, like I would put delight. Like, like to me, wonder has a little lean toward the magical and the like, the juiciness of being alive.
Completely. Yes. All the good things live here.
All the good things. And I do think that we have like gurus, wonder gurus or wonder masters among us, and they are the young people.
Yes.
So allowing for opportunities for them to like go on adventures, even if it's just around the house, and just watch them be curious about things. So cultivating wonder in ourselves and with our people, really, I think that you don't have to go far for a child person to experience wonder, because everything is new in the reality that they're in. There's wisdom in there, and they're bringing in who they are. But to be on a like day-to-day curious like trip with them of like, what's going to spark it today for them? Like that's another piece that I think is really fun. Like when I was a kid, I found wonder in being around tiny little baby people. And that was a clue to what I was all about. And so watching what lights your people up, what they allow themselves to be in wonder of, whether it's dinosaurs or games or nature or a sport, like trust that, because that's a bit of their isness coming through.
Oh, yes. And that, and there's that gift of like really making room for who they are and noticing it and reinforcing it and bringing your own love and presence to it. Yeah, that's a beautiful gift.
Beautiful gift.
Yeah.
Beautiful gift. And I think anytime we can be in wonder of any human in our lives, like our parents, our kids, our spouses, like anybody, the person at the grocery store, like imagine if we brought more wonder to those little tiny like exchanges that we have, we would feel enlivened. And so that's a gift you can give without giving very much, is just to be open and curious and in a sense of like, what are these people about?
Totally. Wow. I mean, I think you've said all the things, but is there any last thing you want to, where we want to close with wonder? I mean, this is such a rich conversation. It's like a gold mine, the whole thing.
Yeah, I think the last thing I want to say, I know I'm loving this. I haven't said any of this, but it's so fun. I think the last thing I want to say is think of it, and you could do this with any sort of emotion, but think of it as a channel that you can tune into and you can broadcast. So it's like, you may not get there every day, but imagine like you had a little dial, like an old time radio, and you just were like, let me go to the Wonder Station. And you put that lens on and maybe it's 1 minute, maybe it's 1 second, maybe it's a day. You're like, I'm going to be in wonder today. I'm going to just look around through the lens of like, what's miraculous? What is the little bit about this day to day that I've seen so many times? How can I see it a little differently? How can I imagine that I'm just landing here? Oh, and my other little trick is, pretend amnesia, I call it. Okay. So like, it's basically like you walk into a room and these people are there and you let go of everything that you've ever known about them, but you love them. What does that bring forward? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we are ever evolving and ever new and different. Right. But we don't make room for that.
We have a lot when we're tired and when we're done and when we're with people every day, we often, we do a thing where we're like, oh, I know that about you. Or I've heard you say that 20 times. Or I know you're going to say this. But like, what if we pretended that we didn't know? Like, I don't even know if it's possible. It's a total trickery of the mind. It may not even work. But like, what if you
even
looked
2%,
at that person?
even if you did it 2%.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I interrupted you. Finish your thought.
No, that's it. What's new? What can I see that I haven't seen before? It might be the color of their eye, or it might be the tone of their voice, or it might be the way that they spin around. Like there's little games we can play when we tune ourselves to that curiosity and wonder that can bring about a newness. And we all know this. Anytime somebody names or sees or appreciates something about us that we feel like, I want to be seen. It adds not just something to the person who feels seen, but to the relationship.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
So that's all.
Thank you. Just those few things.
Thank you. So that's all.
So now where can people find you if they want to connect with you more?
They can just come to my website, carriecontey.com. I'm starting something new. It's Clarity with Carrie. So I have an Instagram that I will be feeding regularly. It's Clarity with Carrie. And then I will be offering something really fun starting this fall. It is basically a personal growth program that's just once a month, a Clarity writing call. And you get a quarterly little guidebook that you'll get in the mail, which is so fun.
Oh, cool.
Because I'm trying to get people offline. And so I'll be giving you little tidbits and little prompts and things to, like, I'm imagining it. It hasn't happened yet, but it's going to be like a highlights magazine for adults and personal growth.
Awesome. Right. Well, I can't recommend working with you enough. So everybody that's listening, check it out. Because
thank you.
Every interaction with you, Carrie, I come away like so inspired and clearer and just good about life, feeling great about life. So thank you. Thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you.
I look forward to the next one.
More, I hope. Bye.
Yes. Bye, friend.